In 2018, there were more than 85,000 students going abroad for studies, but often they underestimate the preparations they have to make before leaving.
Hello, girls.
Hello.
So, as you know, I'm hesitating to do an exchange next year in Hawaii, and I know that you already did an exchange in different countries, and I wanted to know how you live your experience.
For me, I experienced the reverse culture shock the most. When I came back to France, I was really shocked by French rudeness and lack of warmth.
Okay.
For me, at first I was lost and sad, but after like 1 week I started to enjoy my experience to the fullest. And it was like after 2 months that I started missing my family.
When you go abroad, you experiment the 6 stages of the culture shock. The honeymoon, you glorify your new environment and the novelty is really exciting. The disintegration stage is when you realize that culture differences are huge and overwhelming and it might resist your integration. The integration stage is when you are experiencing rejection and anger towards this new culture. The autonomy stage is acceptance of a new life and adjustments. The recovery stage is when you can treat both culture with respect. And the reverse cultural shock is the readjustment to previous culture.
And what surprised you the most at the beginning?
The tipping, because in France we don't tip, it's already included in the price, but not in America. And the second thing that shocked me a little bit was the different way of sharing moments with your friends. They're not drinking coffee on terrace.
In Germany, what surprised me the most was at first the sparkling water. If you order water or juice at restaurants, you get sparkling water or juice. And the way they say hello to each other, even between a mother and a daughter, they shake hands at the morning.
Cultural differences are the various beliefs, behaviors, language, practice, and expressions considered unique to members of a specific ethnicity, race, or national origin. It is said that employees often have more similarities than they do differences, but those differences can sometimes outweigh the similarities.
Also, I'm scared to have difficulties to make friends, and how did you manage to be integrated?
Ask a question, don't be afraid to make mistakes, listen carefully.
For me, you have to be flexible and tolerant and also have a clear communication with no ambiguity. And I think that you have to look at the positive rather than the negative.
There are 4 steps to become culturally competent. First, we have to gather background information of cultures, and we must be aware of your own culture and the cross-cultural differences, and to be able to widen world views and respect differences, being non-judgmental, adopting communication style. And we must do a puzzle with our learning experiences and our competencies, even unconscious, and so our development will not be linear. Because at the beginning, you don't realize that you are incompetent. After realizing it, you acquire consciously competence, then you acquire unconscious competencies.
Do you like in your country?
What I liked the most in Finland was the fact that this is a country very committed to the preservation of the planet. And you can feel it in the daily life, because everything is turned to promote responsible behavior such as sorting or recycling.
Sustainability is about making an appropriate use of the planet's resources. Culture has an impact on social, economic, and ecological. Culture must be at the center of our development strategies because culture has an impact on people's behavior and way of living.
So I'm hesitating to do an internship after the semester. What do you think about it?
I think it could be a great idea to do an internship in abroad because you can discover a new way of working. For instance, I did 2 internships in Germany. The way that German people works is very interesting because they gave me a lot of autonomy. But we have to work very well because we had short breaks, and my boss was very honest with me. And if he worked well, they offer us a beer at the end of the day.
Key points to take into account for cultural management are language differences, understanding habits and customs, manage differences about vision of time, perception of hierarchy, social interactions, level of technology, and labor laws.
For a successful experience abroad, here are some advice. First, preparing the experience abroad, beforehand becoming familiar with the language, the culture, laws, rights, and reading books, watching videos. Secondly, being open-minded, not comparing, ask questions, meet people to avoid shutting himself in his prejudice. Try to understand why it works in a different way than in your country. And finally, taking advantage of the opportunity as of the first day. For example, you should try to avoid calling all the time your family to stay receptive to a new environment.